Greetings, humans! Today I'm going to be working on an embroidery project. A friend of mine gave me this absolutely beautiful brown silk velvet shawl with an outrageous amount of fringe on it that I'm going to use as part of a Wheel of Time cosplay. I'm going to be an Aes Sedai of the Brown Aja. So, let's get sewing. I started off by sketching an outline of the Flame of Tar Valon onto the shawl and putting pins around the edges to hold the outer layer, the velvet layer, and the silk lining to each other. I wasn't sure at first if I wanted to stitch this through both layers, but when I started manipulating the fabric, I very quickly realized that the weight on the outer layer would pull it away from the lining and make it sag really weirdly. So I'm going ahead and stitching the outline of this shape through both layers of the fabric. I'm not going to worry as much about the beading that I put on later, going through both layers or only one layer. This is just to hold the two layers together so that there's no sagging or rippling in the fabric. Now that I've finished the outline, it's time to start embroidering with beads. I'm intending to fill this entire shape with a variety of white or pearl beads. Now, I don't want to clamp this into a normal embroidery frame because it'll crush the velvet and leave marks. So instead, what I'm trying to do here is I've sort of wrapped it around what's actually an old picture frame with the glass taken out in hopes that I can reach my hand up underneath and use it like a normal embroidery frame. Unfortunately, this isn't working very well because of the weight of the fabric and the growing weight of the beads in the middle of the frame. So after a little while, I gave up on using this method and just switched to holding the fabric in my lap and just kind of stretching it tight with my hands as I needed to for each bead that I was attaching. The actual process of stitching on the beads is pretty straightforward. I'm just sliding them on over the needle, usually in groups of 2 or 3 instead of 1 at a time to speed up the process a little bit. And then I'm just working my way around the edges of the shape, doing circuits of the entire shape as I work in toward the middle. You can see I've got a few different types of beads that I'm using here. Most of these are just plain white glass beads, but I also have 2 different sizes of little plastic pearls, and I also decided to go ahead and add in a few of these little white silk flowers, which hopefully will just add a little bit more dimension and variation, a little more interest to the shape. Now, while I show you a time lapse of me finishing filling in this embroidery, let me just tell you a little bit about this costume in case you don't know what I'm talking about when I say that this is part of a Brown Aja outfit. The Aes Sedai are characters from Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time series. They are women who have a great deal of both magical and political power, and their organization is divided into subgroups called Ajas, which each have their own specialties. If I was Aes Sedai, would be a member of the Brown Aja, whose specialty is scholarly pursuits, writing, maybe artwork, and so I've decided to use this brown shawl as part of my costume. I'm not dressing as a specific character, just having fun thinking, how would I look if I was an Aes Sedai, if I was a member of the Brown Aja? As I mentioned earlier, I'll be wearing this shawl to JordanCon next month. That's the convention celebrating Robert Jordan's works, as well as other fantasy stuff. And I'm going to be wearing this shawl with a big flowy purple dress that I've been working on recently. If you're interested in getting into the Wheel of Time, the books are, well, kind of a lot, frankly. They're 15 massive tomes, and they can be a little slow at points. I know, I'm a heretic for saying it. But I highly recommend Amazon's new series based on the Wheel of Time. It makes some changes, but I think it's really captured the heart of the series, the general idea of the feel of the world and what Robert Jordan intended. So yeah, give that a try if you're interested in understanding more about what I'm doing here and you haven't already read The Wheel of Time. Once I finished the main section of this embroidery, I realized I had a lot of beads left, and it looked sort of weird having just this one patch of really heavy, intricate embroidered beading. So I decided that I was going to go ahead and use the leftover beads for two things. First, to add some little segments of dense beading like this to the front corners of the shawl, both to add interest and to weigh it down in the front, sort of counteract the weight of all these beads in the back. And then I also decided to add a line of beadwork along the upper hem. I hope you enjoyed watching that process. Here is the finished product. I've got the full embroidered hem all the way along here with the little weighted corners. And then of course, here is my Flame of Tar Valon. It only just occurred to me that wearing these horns, I look more like a Trolloc than an Aes Sedai, but that's okay. Here's my beautiful shawl. I'm super happy with how this came out, and I can't wait to wear it to JordanCon later this spring. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Until next time, fare thee well. Fringe.